Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own foaming bath whip from scratch. So that means no bases from suppliers, but only using 7 easy ingredients. So if you're interested, don't click off and let's get into it. Firstly, you're going to need your scales, and I have this small one and this larger one for heavier weights based on the measuring cups. So I have these two glass measuring cups that I use, different sizes, because sometimes you don't want to put everything in the large one, especially if there's smaller amounts. You're going to need spatulas to scrape the sides and all that stuff. I literally just broke my favorite spatula, so oh well. Now we have SLSa powder, that's the surfactant, and we have Cocamidopropyl or Cocamidopropyl Betaine, which is the liquid surfactant, which is gonna create the soapy feel. We have Vegetable Glycerin, which helps attract water to the skin and it helps moisturize your skin also. I have aloe vera juice. Excuse my ugly label, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And Stearic Acid is an emulsifier, and it also helps thicken up your formulation, and it's very essential for this entire project. You're also going to need one of these two small bowls just for preservatives and better measurements. I have Liquid Germall Plus as my preservative. The label is just trash. I don't know what happened, but whatever. And you're going to need distilled water. Make sure it's distilled, not tap water. None of that nasty stuff. You're going to need a temperature gun because you need to make sure the temperature is good. Your immersion blender, I have the attachment on the other side. I just didn't feel like bringing it out, but it's okay. And lastly, your container to put your bath whip. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we're going to use is distilled water. I'm not going to be giving the actual formula to this recipe only because I bought it from a shop on Etsy and it's only about $10. So I'm going to link that down below, and although I tweaked it a little bit to what I wanted, I just don't want her to miss out on her money. So I'm going to do that. And also, I added the aloe vera juice as my own thing because I love putting aloe vera in everything. Next, we're going to add in a good amount of vegetable glycerin. Like I said before, it is very moisturizing to the skin. It's a humectant. It helps heal the skin, protect it, and it's just an amazing ingredient for any formulation. Now we're going to add in our cocoa betaine. It is a very mild co-surfactant that is amphoteric, derived from coconut oil. It is compatible with anionic, non-ionic, and cationic surfactants, and also it helps boost your formulations when it is paired with another surfactant, and also viscosity and conditioning and cleansing properties. Now we're just going to gently mix in this part of the formulation, especially to get the glycerin mixed in properly with all the other water ingredients. Stearic acid is a natural fatty acid derived from vegetable fats. It is a great co-emulsifier and has very effective thickening properties. It is most often used in soaps, creams, lotion, foundation, protective, and shaving creams. Sodium lauryl sulfonyl acetate, aka SLSa, is a EcoCert sulfate-free gentle powder surfactant. It is often used in bath bombs, bath salts. I use them in my cleansing powders and now in this formulation. And it also helps with you're bubbling, you're foaming in your products, and it's just an easier and more accessible surfactant to get. Unfortunately, I actually was running out of this powder, and I didn't completely use the amount that I needed for this formulation, but I'll end up using some of this that I made earlier. So before we continue, I just wanted to make this clear that I put on a face mask because the powder from the SLSa, you don't want to inhale that. So I did that before, and now we're just going to gently mix in the powder with the water, and you're going to see over time it's going to start to get a little thick as you mix, and that is what it looks like. And we're about to get ready to put this on the stove. Now I'm going to put a piece of foil on top of this bowl to make sure nothing falls on the inside and make sure no one else is all up in my business. Now I did this double boiler method. With this pan, I have about an inch of water at the bottom, or maybe even more because this bowl is huge, on medium heat, and I'm gonna let this melt for about an hour because stearic acid takes a while to melt and I don't need that to happen. So in the meantime, I'm gonna measure the preservative to make sure that there's no bacteria, and this will be a product used in the shower, so you want to make sure that there's a preservative that's gonna keep the bacteria, the mold, all that nasty stuff out. Finally, we're done, and now it is time to mix. I have my handy dandy immersion blender in my favorite color, and what you want to do is to make sure that all of the ingredients that we put in are completely mixed together, and you're going to see it's going to start to get thick as we go through it, and like, look at that, it's just really thick, and that's what you want. It almost looks like, I guess, what lotion would look like. So I just kept doing that until I thought everything was good, and that's all. Okay, I'm done with the mixing, and what you need to do is check the temperature. And I'm just gonna use the temperature gun, just go around and stay in a spot, and you'll see that it's still pretty hot. We have 141 degrees Fahrenheit, and you want to drop it down to about 123, only because of the preservative. The only way that it's going to be effective is if it's below that, and also it's going to take a while to cool down in the first place. So I waited just a little bit, and now it's at 118. It's time for me to add in the preservative that I put in with the tiny bowl, and that's what we're about to do. A small technique that I learned from Marie from Humble Being Me, where I learned how to do all this stuff, is to take a little bit of your batch and mix it in with your preservative or your fragrances or just smaller ingredients, and to just mix it before you put it into your bigger batch. I think it helps with the overall mixing instead of just putting it directly into the batch and not really having it mixed properly. So I mixed in all of the preservative in here, and now I'm just kind of smoothing it down to check out the consistency and the texture. It's very jiggly. I don't know, it reminded me of like white Vaseline, but we're just gonna let this sit overnight. So I'm gonna put this cling wrap on top of it. Obviously you need to make sure nothing goes inside of it, and we're gonna let this thicken up overnight so we're ready to whip it the next day, and we're gonna see how this actually comes out. I am back. It is the next day, and as you can see, it has thickened, and also it kind of looks like it dropped a little bit, but it is ready to get whipped, and this is the fun part. And I got my spatula, and I like to just tap the top of it to make sure that it's still soft. So I have my hand mixer, and what I like to do is like stab the top of it before I start mixing, because usually when things are harder, it's really hard to whip. So I just, I'm just, doing what I gotta do here. Okay, so I did my first round of whipping. I'm going to put in my tester batch into this because I didn't have all the SLSa that I needed, and I need to make everything work, and I wasn't going to just use it on its own, because I'm going to be using these to make body scrubs or foaming body scrubs. So every little piece, every little ingredient count. I didn't add this in the beginning because this part is optional. I'm using avocado oil to add some extra oomph to this formulation. On the actual recipe that I got, this was something you could do afterwards, but I decided to just put it in this part now so I don't have to think about it later. Now, me mixing in this oil and me using this hand blender is when I realized that I was about to F up, okay? Because this was such a struggle. I was making a mess, and I realized that now is the time I need an actual standing mixer, because anytime I try to whip, it will get to one side, and I kept struggling. But this is the final look. It's very whippy, it's very fluffy, it's also very thick, and I'm going to put this in the container. I got this from the Dollar Tree, obviously for $1. Later on in the future, I want to get a bucket or a proper container to put this in, but for the most part, this is exactly what I needed for now. And I forgot to say that my batch that I'm making was 32 ounces, and of course anytime that you whip anything, it will double in size, so that was perfect for me. Well, here I'm just giving you a little demonstration. It is very creamy and it's very thick. It doesn't have a super strong foaming look to it like a bubble bath would, but it works. It gets the job done, and it cleanses your hands. It's gonna cleanse your body if you use it as a body soap or in your scrubs, and it's just very nice and it feels good. So that is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this, and I'll see you in my next video. Deuces.